Welcome to episode 32, where we talking everything setters, how to get your setters performing. Lots of fun stuff.
Damn, it's gonna be a good episode.
Good intro.
What what wisdom do you have to share?
A lot of wisdom. My whole entire business has pretty much been built off of setters, uh, cold calling in specific. So every every single deal we've done has been pretty much attributed to that or referrals. So I think I know quite a bit about setters and how to get them to perform. I guess what do you want to talk about first with the setting process?
What and maybe you could like help people listening understand what does it look like for, or what does it look like for your business to go from setting yourself to having a system and a team of people that are able to like booking meetings and like contribute working with you to grow the business faster, because
I think
obviously that's a lot of leverage if you can spend more time on sales calls.
it's much better to have a system in place and a team around you compared to solo because when you're solo, when you're solo, the nice thing is you get instant feedback on every part. So you do get to see every single portion of the sales call or sales conversion cycle, where people are dropping off, what needs improving, etc. And I
Yeah,
also think it's very valuable for someone to learn that. I think the last thing you want to do is try to hire a setter when you don't know what good looks like. I think that leads
yeah,
a lot of people try to hire out too early.
yeah.
Um, but having a setter system in place and taking yourself out of the setting of the business is very beneficial because then it allows you to apply more focus to higher leverage things. So then you can apply
Right.
more focus into closing, and that might take your close rate from 30% to 50%, 40%,
Yeah,
which is going to
yeah.
increase overall new cash, the growth of the business, etc. Then you can get a closer in place, and now you've got a full sales cycle or sales system that you can duplicate, that you can scale up, and you can put your attention to even higher leverage things, which is probably hiring, brand, client results, et cetera, et cetera. So it just allows you to go upstream more to what matters more, and get something that's more scalable that doesn't break because you only have 2 hours, 3 hours of the day to work on it because you're doing everything else in the business.
Right, right. Um, what have you, I guess, what have you learned in that process then? And like, how do you start? If you'll, I think, it's so, my experience with things has been once you do it, it's like riding a bike, right? It's like once you learn these things in business, or in just a career in general, you you kind of have like this new paradigm or this the heuristics that you need, and you know what to go and execute on. But if you've never done it before, it seems like a daunting process. So if you were giving you know if you were giving day one Braden advice, what would you say to him? Like when you had no clients, and then maybe when you were first at like 10K a month.
I try to first learn everything you like, not yourself, like, I mean, obviously learn from other people, etc. But
Yeah.
do everything yourself first. Like track everything
Mm.
from dials, pickups, conversations, leads, appointments, how many of those
Mhm.
appointments are showing up, like every part of the sales process. And
Yeah.
uh and do it all yourself first because you get boots on the floor experience. You can understand what is working and what isn't working, what needs to be more efficient. The
Mhm.
only reason that like on the back end of my business, I was doing a little bit of calls, although I didn't
Yeah.
have to. I was doing a little bit of calls because I wanted to see how the system felt, and that's where I got
Yeah.
the idea to get a 10-line dialer and to increase our systems that way, and it's led to a ton of growth. So I think you being on the floor and understanding the whole system is awesome. Do 10,000 cold calls yourself first, and then you've got a good idea of what works, what doesn't work, what scripts work,
Mhm.
and you can start to like SOP things out. And then I
Yeah.
would just write everything down that you're doing. Clear documentation, SOPs on scripts, live calls, et cetera, et cetera. And when you get all those written down, you get all those in one area, then you could pass it on to someone else where they can start to leverage those.
What does passing it on look like? Let's talk about that part, because I think like, okay, that makes
Train
sense.
someone up.
Figure it out yourself.
Yeah. No, you don't
So
want to do
this is
that.
like this is a little more advanced. Like this is for people that have already like maybe already have already figured out how to start getting meetings, but now want to get way more leverage and grow that system faster, and scale other parts of the business and need to claim time back in some ways. Like what for those people, if I'm already booking 20 meetings a month, let's say, what do I do?
You wanna clearly lay out in a training everything that you do in that portion of the system and how that fits into the overall system. So, what
Sure.
are we selling? Who are we selling it to? What does that person look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah.
What is this role? What does this position all entail? What are you actually doing and how do you do it? What are all the softwares? How do you use all the softwares? What are the scripts you use? How do you book people when somebody no shows? How do you rebook them? Everything. The more detail, the better, and just make
Yeah.
videos. You break it
Yeah.
down, every single part of this step, exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. That way
Yeah.
someone else can replicate this.
Yeah.
And then what I also do is I like to get a lot of live call examples, and then I'll have a
Yeah.
sitter come on board, and they just go through this entire training A through Z. You can
Yeah.
fill it with Claude to kinda clean up the trading, and how
Yeah.
to go through it front to end, and that way they
Yeah.
fully understand everything that goes into doing this position. And then once
Yeah.
they're done with that and they've got an idea of it, you can have them
Yeah.
shadow you for a bit. Um, although what I normally like to do is I just like to get them into calls.
Yeah.
So I'll have them start calling and then review
Yeah.
my calls. So I've got a
Yeah.
1,000, 2,000, 5,000, however many calls in a Google
Yeah.
Drive folder that this person can just go and listen to every single one of them. They
Yeah.
listen to 20 of those, and they go do
Yeah.
200 cold calls, and then we do trainings and reviews, and just
Yeah.
do that every single day, and
Yeah.
just rinse and repeat, and that's pretty much it. I mean, someone's, in my opinion, if they know 80% about the role through the
Yeah.
course, they're gonna learn the most from actually getting on the phones, not
Yeah.
necessarily shadowing or this or that. I'm okay if someone goes and they fail for a week or two, as long as they're on the phones and they're making the quickest progress possible.
Makes sense. What about like structurally building the team? Because I know you've gone through a lot of you've hired a lot of setters at this point compared to someone doing it from scratch or hiring their first person. What have you learned over this process? And I think what's craziest is like if you go all the way back to even when we first started filming these podcasts, like a lot has changed about your setting system.
Definitely less is more for sure.
Yeah.
It's a big lesson I learned. I think I was just trying to shove a ton of setters into a system.
Yeah.
Um, and then team morale goes down, average meetings per month per setter is down, and it's just like you've got all these people to get something that really much less people could do. I went from 10 setters to 1, and we're
Yeah.
booking more appointments just because 'cause I'm able to
Yeah.
pay that 1 setter more. I'm able to give them more attention, give them more training, etcetera.
Yeah.
And then as far as hiring goes, like, I think the most important thing is, like, I definitely was not qualifying hard enough. It's
Sure.
funny because when I found out I wasn't qualifying hard enough, I was watching a video from someone who was, like, in the agency space. I think they do, like, 3 or 5 million a month. Um, they were reviewing setter applications on a YouTube video. They reviewed someone that I actually hired and fired insanely quickly because they were terrible, and I kid you not, they didn't even press play on the Loom video. That I
Wow.
just DQ'd from there, and I was like, "Wow, I am DQing way too, like, I'm not DQing enough. I gotta go 10 times harder on who I'm actually letting through." Um,
Yeah.
so it was pretty cool. I'm glad I watched that. But, right after that, I was like, first of all, you gotta think about this. If someone is applying to this position and they truly want it, they're not
Hmm.
gonna be filming it like this, on their phone, right? That's not how you apply for a position on a phone.
Hmm.
They're not gonna
Hmm.
be, it with a messy background, or like, if someone really wanted to show themselves in the best way, they probably put
Yeah.
on more decent clothes. They'd be in a decent setup or in a coffee shop. They
Hmm.
wouldn't be filming on their phone. They'd be filming on their computer. Ideally, the Loom doesn't have 100 views and it's just a copy and paste to every job out there. It's a
Yeah.
personalized Loom. They're talking to you. Um,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And then also just how they uphold themselves, and their how confident they can sell me, pretty much.
Yeah.
They're like, I
Yeah.
I really don't care the most on how much real estate experience they have or this or, like, the thing is, can they sell me that
Yeah.
I would feel super confident to have them as a sales rep? If they
Yeah.
can't, or if they're on the fence, I just DQ it.
Right.
So,
Okay,
a little
cool.
vague, but, like, just, yeah, DQ.
What about how to pay people, how much volume they can handle, how to calculate the output of the system? What does good performance actually look like?
Yeah.
You know, how do I figure out like how many people should I need? Like what should I expect per person? How do I retain people on the team? Like all of the things that, you know, maybe are questions in the back of people's heads when they're going about this and feel like uncertainties or unknowns. And there's not really any information online that can answer that for you.
Yeah. Pay it varies on what you're going for. Like you can go very cheap and you can go overseas and
Mhm.
get someone for a couple $100 a month, but you are going to get that level of output. So,
Sure.
that is what it is. But there's also like it depends on the channel as well. If you're doing cold calls, um,
Yeah.
you know, you might have to pay someone instead of let's say your ticket's $10,000. You might have to pay someone 15% and give them a base
Hmm.
because it is a more
Yeah.
demanding role. It does require more volume. If you're doing ads, you might be able to get
Hmm.
away with just doing 10% at close, right?
Hmm.
I think somewhere within the ballpark, depending on offer size, between 10 to 15% of like first month's revenue, or the if it's a paid in full, like around 10%, is normally a good percentage to go off of. When I first started out, I couldn't pay a base, like we didn't have enough revenue coming in. So the rough reality is you gotta sell someone on vision. You have to sell someone on the future and what it's going to look like. You have to lead well, and if you can't afford to pay someone a base, give them more commission and really show them the opportunity and the growth path that you guys are going to be on and buy them into the vision.
Yeah.
Um, I think would be
Cool.
my best advice. And then also,
Sure.
I think a good thing I always get reassured on is, it's not necessarily bad to have a setter making a good amount of money. I think I talked with you even a few weeks ago on this, and it's like, am I
Yeah.
paying too much or not? Um, if someone's doing well and they're bringing in a lot of new revenue, you want to keep that going and keep
Yeah.
incentivizing that.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and then make sure you understand their goals and what they're actually
Hmm.
striving for and how you can help them get there. And if you buy them in, um, that's going to help a lot as well. If they feel bought in personally, like they're not just
Yeah.
helping you grow, but they're
Yeah.
growing. This
Yeah.
is a really big thing as well.
With it. Cool, man. Um, could you maybe share some experience, like as to wrap this up, experience with you, like maybe mistakes that you made in building the team and like what you did wrong or what you've learned now?
Um, I've hired I didn't DQ enough. I didn't qualify it
Sure.
heavy enough. A
Yeah.
lot of the people I was like, "Oh, well, this guy speaks good English. Cool. Send him." It's like, no. Um, that shouldn't be the barrier. That should be the qualifier. Um, so qualify a lot harder, fire a lot quicker. Very early on, you'll know if someone's good or not. Um,
How?
if someone joins and the KPI is 200 dials per day, and day
Yeah.
3 they're already missing KPIs,
Yeah.
I they have to be a stellar person upon hire
Yeah.
for me to even consider keeping them,
Yeah.
and not just firing right there, because it's just it's as long as you're setting the right expectation to start out, if someone on
Yeah.
week 1, week 2 is missing stand-ups, missing KPIs, what do you think
Mhm.
that person's gonna look like month 3, month 9?
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably not much better, right? And then
Yeah.
secondly to that, if you're trying to build an A-player team, B players, C players are like I don't there's this is kind of aggressive, but they're like a cancer to the team. I mean, like
Yeah.
they will drive these people away.
Yeah.
Um, if you want A players to stay, you can't have B players and C players coming in, because
Yeah.
whatever, and this is a take I will die on this hill for, is whatever your bottom setter is what the team will fall to 100% of
Right.
the time. So
Right.
whatever your bottom standard is what the team will fall to, and that's what you need to always uphold as high as possible.
Right.
Um, Other mistakes I've made: hiring way too many people, um, over hiring.
Hmm.
You need one or two really good people. You don't need
Yeah.
20, right?
Agreed.
Um, and then I think the most important thing is I've always, I don't know what it is, but I've always been very interested in how can I make this role even more advantageous and pay even more. I think you should be obsessed with how can you get your team to make more money, and to be
Yeah.
more fulfilled within the role. And when
Yeah.
they can see that on you, they do get really bought in. When you
Yeah.
generally are focused on how can you make them more money as well, um,
Yeah.
obviously within margins, etc.
Right.
So
Awesome. Cool.
now me spilling
This
it
was
all
great.
out, but What I will say
Yeah.
is I definitely think as a good actionable advice for anyone watching is first understand the you should know the process A through Z with your eyes closed. Like I know it 100%, right? So you should
Yeah.
first know that so that way you can actually determine what a good setter looks like and what it doesn't a good setter or a bad setter does look like as well. Um
Yeah.
so first understand the whole system and then when to hire is when your time is too squeezed to where you're not able to give that section of the business as much attention as it requires and it's costing
Yeah.
you more by not
When
having
it's becoming a constraint.
yes, exactly.
When it's becoming a limiting factor. Awesome. Cool. That was great. Thank you so much.
Easy. If someone wants to
I even
apply
learned something.
to learn how to grow their agency, any aspect of it, there's gonna be a cool big link on the bottom that they can click and they can apply. So they should go do that.
Boom. We accept one person a month. See you
Take care.
guys inside.
Easy.